The Frozen North, Episode 15, our top 5 underrated characters.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of The Frozen North, your source for the best that story-focused gaming has to offer. My name is JJ, and I'm here alongside my two co-hosts. First up, across the table and to my left, they call him the struggling doctor because he's got no patience. It's Mark.
Howdy, y'all!
And second, also across the table, but to my right, they call him the high school dropout because he's got no class. It's Brian.
I want to say howdy, y'all, but I'm going to leave it with a nice little rendition of a great famous speech. Hello, Vietnam! Oh, hey guys, how you doing?
Isn't it Good Morning, Vietnam?
Yeah, it's good. It's Good Morning, Vietnam. But
So-
I put my little spin on it. How's everybody doing?
I put my own little spin on it.
I want to quote this great, but not actually quote it.
Yeah. Sorry. How you guys doing?
Oh my goodness,
I'm doing
fantastic! It's been a great couple of weeks of gaming.
Yeah. Oh man.
Woo.
We had a little weekend excursion that happened. It was awesome.
We did.
That was
That was
awesome.
cool. Which we're gonna show off with our multitude of reviews
Yeah,
today.
we got lots of reviews, guys.
Brian was very helpful to JJ during that.
Oh man. Well, should we tell them that story when we get to it?
When we get to it,
Okay,
sure.
all right.
It's not really much of a story. It's just you lying to me. So, well, why don't we go ahead and Brian, what have you been playing?
Other than our weekend excursion, I have been playing Amnesia. Finished that up a few days ago. And also Suikoden, pretty much exclusively with a little bit of Lego Star Wars thrown in for some palate cleansing action from the Amnesia game.
Solid. Very cool. Mark.
I've been playing Dead Island, and I just bought a Nintendo 3DS XL.
Woo!
Nice.
And I've been super addicted to Rune Factory 4.
My green light is on. I've got a tag from you, I think.
Nice.
All
I
right.
love getting tags from
And,
you, Mark.
and also Suikoden.
What game?
I said it right.
He said Suikoden. It's
That's how you pronounce it.
Suikoden. Suikoden.
Learn Japanese.
Suikoden. They don't say Suikoden.
Yeah, it's Ko.
Din?
Din.
Din.
I think we're all in agreement on the din.
I've
All
been
right, send us
playing...
in emails telling us whether it's a Ko or a Ku.
Please don't send us emails with
We'll
that.
read them on the next episode.
All of them. Okay, go ahead, JJ.
Oh my goodness.
What have you been playing?
Other than the games, we're going to be reviewing today. Oh my gosh, I played Suikoden. I finished it.
Nice.
I started playing Blue Dragon on my 360. Not a bad little game. Little drags on in a few parts, but it's goofy and fun.
Right up your alley.
Yeah, exactly. And also I got back into Final Fantasy 14, but nobody plays it that I know.
Is it still solid? Like, did they add
Yeah,
some
oh
good
yeah.
things?
I was playing like for about 2 hours last night. And I had a blast.
Excellent.
Just running around doing fates. So there's nobody that I know that plays anymore. So it's
Right.
kind of meh. All right then. Why don't we go ahead and just hop into news?
Hey, that's my sound.
That's the news sound. Hey
Mark's
guys, here's your
sound.
news for episode 15. Our first bit of business is the hands-on with PlayStation Now is going on. It actually works. If you guys are confused about what PlayStation Now is, it's the Gaikai feature that they're talking about, the streaming service. PlayStation Now is here, bringing with it massive library of PlayStation's back catalog to devices never designed to play them, including PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and the Vita. The service could boost the PlayStation 4's library with thousands of new and old titles, essentially bringing much-needed backwards compatibility to this generation of gaming, which is excellent.
Phenomenal.
I am so
if
excited.
if it works the way that they're promising, oh man.
I think that's going to be like a backbreaker if it does. Like, hey, here,
Unbelievable.
enjoy our entire library of...
I also wouldn't be
initially-
surprised if Xbox responded with something similar eventually.
There have
as
been some
well.
rumors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I find it...
They're probably not as far
they're
along,
very
though.
they're very much more stingy about that whole aspect of...
Can you imagine though, with their online capabilities that they have? It would be
This is the same
magical.
company that, and I'm not bashing on Microsoft. I think they're doing a lot of good things, but this is the same company that took down the ability to play backwards compatible. They said,
No, I
okay,
know.
we're not going to support that anymore. So I don't know.
What?
I find it. What?
What's that? When did that happen?
Wow. Like a year or two ago, you could play like Halo. Some games were supported backwards compatibility wise, like Halo 2.
And they removed
They
it
removed
from consoles that already did it?
No, they removed it from consoles that already did it and the new consoles.
How did they do that?
They no longer. It was basically based on, from what I heard, it was like the servers. So if you were to put it in, it would almost run it off. They just said, nope, we're going to take it down. We're going to take it down. You won't be able to play it anymore. So
Interesting.
moving on, Broken Age Part 1 launches January 14th for backers only, which means and this is the beta, I believe, which actually means the game will be available probably quickly for everybody else. This game I'm pretty excited about. If you're not familiar with it, it's a Double Fine Productions game. Double Fine did games like Psychonauts. Tim Schafer also, I believe they did Brutal Legend, Jack Black.
Handful of big name titles.
This was like one of the first big name Kickstarter games that got
let's see.
insane amounts of funding.
Some of the highlights of the article are Double Fine Productions will release the beta version for the first part of Broken Age exclusively to the game's backers on January 14th. This was confirmed by the studio head Tim Schafer on Twitter. A Double Fine representative told Polygon that the studio will announce the public early access release date on January 14th alongside the backers only launch. So we'll get to find out when we can actually get our hands on it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Next order of business is Project Sparks Xbox One closed beta begins next month. This is one of the few titles that I actually was kind of intrigued by when they showcased it. Microsoft game creation tool Project Spark is getting ready to begin the closed beta process for its own Xbox One version. Now, there is a beta version for the Windows 8 that began in December, and if you were lucky enough to receive a code to participate in that beta test of the game, you will automatically be able to check out the Xbox version of the game as well. If you gave away your Xbox or your Windows 8 code, having been only interested in testing out the Xbox One version of the game, developer team Dakota is planning to send out additional codes. So, just a little information on that. Moving on, Nintendo. This is right up all of our alley. I know Mark just got one.
Absolutely.
And, Nintendo crosses the 11.5 million 3DS handhelds sold mark in the U.S. in 2013. Nintendo's handheld business. Well, first let me start out by saying everyone knows the struggles of the Wii U. It's not doing well. It's kind of on its deathbed at this point. But the thing that's I think keeping Nintendo around is the absolute domination of the handheld market. So it showed very impressive growth in 2013. Nintendo revealed today that as of the end of 2013, it has sold more than 11.5 million 3DSs and 3DS XLs, and the 2DS, obviously, that was released recently in the United States. Across the eShop and at retail, more than 16 million 3DS games were purchased in 2013 alone, which, according to Nintendo, is a 45% growth over game sales in 2012.
Do you think like there's a chance that one day Nintendo could go exclusively handhelds?
The way they're going right now, I can see it happening.
But they've always been so stubborn; they just won't go away. So I don't know. Not that I want them to go away.
I don't see that happening.
You don't think so?
They don't need to sell as much as Sony or Microsoft do, since they have so many first-party games that everybody buys.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you have to
because
understand,
all they have to do is transfer those IPs to their portable systems,
and you
then
have to
they'll
understand
sell even
that
more.
the thing about Nintendo is, unlike Sony and Microsoft, they're an exclusive game company. They're not like Sony is more known for its manufacturing of hardware.
Yep.
Yeah,
and Microsoft is more known for its manufacturing of software. So
Nintendo is
so they have a wider gap for error than a company like Microsoft or Sony would.
Only time will tell.
Yeah. Here's a report. A 2014 launch for The Division doesn't add up. So, who had The Division on their most anticipated games of 2014? Was it Mark?
Yes.
So that is now a failure. No,
Let's go back and change the episode.
So we got to go back.
We gotta go. Anyway, folks, eagerly awaiting the stellar-looking Tom Clancy's The Division might have to wait a little longer than expected if recent reports are to be believed. In fact, development on the game itself has barely started, according to one source of the developer. So it's
a pretty polished
a little
video
bit
they
bad
had
news.
for something that's
I know, right?
started.
I was thinking that.
Yeah. The end begins for Guild Wars 2 on January 21st. This is not the end of the game. Just don't want to scare anybody.
I saw the title on that, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't actually put any bullet points because it's pretty self-explanatory. The end of the storyline that they are, and it is a massively long storyline. There have been a few, since I played the game, there have been several patches to the storyline. This will be the last one coming up on January 21st. I think I'm midway through the story. I'm like almost max level and still chugging along. It's been an excellent storyline so far. I'd like to get back into it at some point and finish it out.
Me too.
And then our last bit of business is Alien Isolation announced. This is supposed to be taking the series back to its roots. I happen to watch a few videos. It looks a lot like Outlast, Amnesia, where your character's not exactly a space marine with guns. You basically have a motion tracker and a welder, similar to how the first movie was. Not many weapons.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a survival horror game. Let's see. A little bit of business with it is Sega has today announced Alien Isolation, an all-new first-person survival horror experience that will focus on capturing the horror and tension evoked by Ridley Scott's 1979 classic film. Like I said, it's going to bring it back to its roots rather than its Space Marine James Cameron iterations. The game is being developed by Creative Assembly and is due for release in late 2014 on the PS4, Xbox One, the PS3, the 360, and the PC.
Very cool.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Do you know anything else that studio has done before?
You know what? I don't. I should have looked that up. They sound very familiar, though. Creative Assembly. Doesn't that sound familiar to you, Mark? I feel like I've heard of their games before.
I'm not sure.
Total War series.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
wow.
This is a big departure.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is, okay. Well, at least we know they have quality games.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I knew I recognized the name. I just didn't.
Yeah, it sounded familiar to me too.
You've definitely put this on my radar, Brian.
Yeah, it looks absolutely terrifying. Like, I can play scary games, but the Alien movies have always had a...
Yeah. That first Alien movie is a masterpiece.
I watched that movie when I was 8. Yeah, and I had nightmares about those damn xenomorphs for years. So this game will really test my ability to play scary games.
Sounds good. We'll be looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
All right, then. So we're actually not going to be doing a spotlight this week, simply because we have 4 reviews that we're going to be doing. We're going to try and make them short and sweet if we can.
Try our best.
Yeah. We basically, a couple of weeks ago, was it last week?
Last weekend.
It was
Yep,
last
weekend.
Last weekend, we the 3 of us got together, and we literally just played through 3 indie games, all of us, one by one, and just knocked them all out. Played through The Stanley Parable, Dear Esther, and To the Moon. We're not going to review To the Moon till the next episode because we also, like we said before that, when we talked about how Mark picked the first person, and we did, Bioshock, and then you guys were going to do Amnesia and Dead Island.
Yep.
We got those as well. So today we're going to be doing Stanley Parable, Dear Esther, Amnesia, and Dead Island. So from the top, first one up, Stanley Parable, developed and published by Galactic Cafe. Well, who wants to start?
I'll start since it was my favorite.
Brian began to...
Damn it. You got to talk in the British accent.
Yeah.
Well, Stanley Parable, I don't know if our host explained this, but we're going to add a little bit to our reviews. We're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to give a small synopsis of the story.
Yep.
Unfortunately, in Stanley Parable, there's not really a story to be synapsed. So I'll just go ahead and say this is a game that is basically a satirical poke funning. It's poke funning.
If
Wow.
anything, you create the story.
You do.
Through.
This game is a short telling, and I'm trying to think of the words. Mark, help me out here. What is this game?
It's like the Stranger Than Fiction movie.
Yeah, very similar to that.
With Will Ferrell in it, with a narrator talking about everything this guy's doing in his mundane life.
It's basically a knock on narration in games and in movies. So basically what you do is you're in first-person mode, and the narrator will tell you can either follow what the narrator says or not. And he comments on you very hilariously, I might add. So I'll go into my pros. To call this a game is stretching a little bit. There's really no challenge aspect. When I think of a game, I always think of the challenge aspect. The only puzzle is finding the different endings for the narration. So my pros are going to be, the writing is absolutely phenomenal in this game. I haven't laughed The only game that has made me laugh as much as Stanley Parable was Portal 2. It was one of the funniest games I played in a long time. The other thing is the amount of content in the game is a little bit light. However, there are so many different endings that you can actually play this for a lot longer than you would imagine and get some hilarious endings you didn't expect. So those are really my only two pros to it. I mean, those are basically the game in its nutshell.
Yep.
Great writing and clever game design.
I honestly, I'll go ahead and go. I couldn't agree more. That's what my pro is. Literally, the narrator himself. I don't know who the guy is, but he did a phenomenal job. Just his the way he talked and just the sarcasm in his voice was. I mean, it was spectacular. And the things that he said, the writing was just incredible.
Especially when you broke his spirit.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just listening to what he said. That is, in my opinion, the best part about the game. And I mean, that's what it's all about too.
Yeah.
So it really was. It was excellent. So,
Yep.
Mark.
Whenever a game can make me laugh the way Stanley Parable did, it's definitely going to be a game that I hold in high regard. I'm a huge fan of British comedy in general, and this sort of is pure British comedy. It's a funny game. It's sort of about control, the way you interact with a video game, whether you really have choice or not, even when it seems like you have choice. And you get to listen to this guy just become completely irate over what you're doing.
And you
which
can
is
break
hilarious.
his spirit.
And there's these little twists in each ending that you can't believe are happening sometimes.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
are wonderful.
Cool.
So
Yep.
All right. Well, going into cons, I'm going to start off
Go
just
ahead.
because I want to. Like, my con that I have written down is the Stanley Parable. I was not a fan of this game, but I played it a second time afterwards, and
You want to tell him why you weren't a fan?
yeah. Brian is the reason I wasn't a fan.
Hi guys, I'm Brian.
He kind of ruined it for me. We were, like I said, we played all three games, and what we did was we basically, like, I played one, Mark played another one, and then Brian played another one, and then once you finish one, you just move on to the next, and we kind of just went around in a circle. Well, Brian played the Stanley Parable first, so once I got done with To the Moon, which was my first game, I started playing Stanley Parable, and I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to make the whole premise of the game be a surprise to me, but it ended up ruining it because he just said, you have to decide when to listen to the narrator and when not to, and that's how you figure out how you're supposed to beat the game.
Yeah.
And so, like, the whole time, I'm not even really listening to the guy that much. I'm just like, okay, well, he's telling me to go here. I'm not going to go that way this time. And I'm just not really, like, taking the actual narrative and the story into consideration and, like, not listening to the cleverness and the way he's talking and
You
stuff.
are coming at it naturally, like I
you
did.
were almost
Correct.
playing it like a puzzle.
Exactly. I was trying to figure out how to beat the game. And the whole point is that there is no way to beat
And
the
The
I'll
game.
whole point
defend-
is do what you want.
When it comes
Yes.
around to me, I'll defend what I was trying to do, but we'll let JJ finish.
So, I mean, and that's, like, it was just a really bad, like, I was getting pissed off.
He was.
When
He
I
was
was
getting
so mad.
frustrated.
I was like, this is ridiculous. There's nothing I can do. I've tried, like, just about every way, and it's blah, blah, blah. And, like, for an hour straight, I was literally just not getting it. Well, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go look at a guide. So I went onto Google, looked it up, and then I'm like, you douche. And it said, there's no way to beat this game, blah, blah, blah. After knowing that, a couple of days later, I went back to it, and I listened to the narrator talk and everything, and I recognized the genius in the writing and everything, and it was a heck of a lot better. Would I ever go play it again? Probably not.
Right.
Just because it's not.
It's not your type of game.
Definitely not. But I definitely can appreciate it a lot more going into it, knowing what to expect and knowing what I'm supposed to be getting out of it, rather than trying to beat the game.
Yep.
So that's me.
All right, let me take this because I want to defend what I was trying to do. I knew going in. I'll go to my cons in a second. I knew going in that when I played it, I as soon as I got done, I was like, well, I don't know if JJ's going to like this. There's no point to it. There's no story. It's all about it's a satire. It's basically all satire. It's making fun of the gaming genre. And so I didn't want to give it. I knew Mark would absolutely adore it, and so I didn't want to ruin anything for Mark. So trying to figure out how I can tell JJ to stick. I wanted him to stick with the game. I didn't want him to be like, oh, I beat an ending, I'm going to stop playing. Like, I wanted him to experience it the way I did, going back and trying to see different narrations. So I explained to him, hey, just do something different every time by saying, hey, there's a goal. You just have to figure out where it is. Hoping that he would continually beat his head against the wall.
Oh, and I did.
Yeah, and trying to figure out, but what I failed to realize was that you have to come at that naturally and realize, because as I was playing, I was like, oh, I know exactly what this game is, and I kind of figured out its genius on my own. And I robbed that of JJ. I felt bad.
It was like I was trying to lift a car with my bare hands, and Ryan's behind me going, yeah, there's a way to do it. Trust me, just keep trying.
Yeah, exactly.
You got this. Absolutely. There's totally, I did it. You can do it too.
But you're going to, and then now moving on to my cons, this is going to sound kind of weird. I don't have any cons for this game. And let me explain why. When you understand what this game is, I could say, oh, there's no game. The gameplay was very basic, but it's not supposed to be, there's not supposed to be gameplay. This is basically an interactive story.
It's just about the narration.
Yes.
Simply as that.
So I don't have any cons for it. However, I will say that if you're not into a game that basically has no goal, you're not going to like it. If you like a game that has a goal, has some sort of challenge element, and you're wanting to play a game, then this is not something. This is not really technically a game. This is basically a satirical narration on narration.
Yep.
Basically. So I'll just put that out that way. I don't have cons with the preface.
If I had to think of a con for this game, it would be that the replay value isn't very high.
It's low, sure.
I played for about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and got a lot of the endings, but there are some endings that I don't have, and I just feel like I'm never going to play it again because it'll be a process of trial and error, watching the same stuff over again until I find the ones that I haven't already seen. So I'm just going to probably look it up on YouTube.
There's a 4 hour. There's an ending that you have to play a game for 4 hours to get, which
no
I just looked
while some of those endings were hilarious, I don't think a second viewing will be nearly as fun as the first one.
No,
because the surprise is gone.
It's gone. Yep.
Well, for me personally, I would recommend this game as far as if you really can appreciate the narrative and the writing and the narrator, like we've been talking them up like crazy. Definitely check it out. I would not check it out at the $15 price tag for sure.
Yep.
I would wait till it at least goes to. I would $5 is probably the max I'd be willing to spend on it, and make sure you know what you're getting into. Do not try to go into this game trying to beat it, because there is no way to beat it. Had I known that, I probably would have liked it a little bit more off the beginning. When I did know that going into it later, it was a heck of a lot better experience. So, and I think that's just, you have to have that mindset when you go in.
I agree. For me, the way I look at it is it's 2 to 3 hours. That's about it's maybe longer if you want to do one of the ridiculous endings. But for most people, it's going to be about 2 to 3 hours, which is the length of a movie. So I'll pay about as much as I would pay to see a movie, which is, for me, $8 because I go to a cheap theater.
Nice.
Yeah. Right?
Okay. Unfortunately, I interrupted, but I disagree with the statement that for anybody, $15 is too expensive. For somebody who is looking for a game, $15 is much too expensive. If you just want to see what the whole fuss is about, Stanley Parable, wait till it comes down. However, if you're like me and you adore Portal, the Portal series, then this game is definitely worth it. You will absolutely get enjoyment out of this game. Like I said, if you loved Portal as much as I did, and Portal 2, then you will definitely it will not disappoint you. So just go into it knowing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next up.
So JJ doesn't like Portal 2.
Apparently I don't.
him.
I loved Portal 2.
Right. But I ruined the game we just explained.
Okay. I gotcha.
So next up we got Dear Esther, developed and published by the Chinese Room. Mark, you probably know the most about this game.
Yeah, I originally played this game when it was a mod that came out from Dan Pinchbeck, which was a professor at I think it's the University of Portsmouth in the UK.
Oh.
There you go. He eventually got the rights to use the Steam engine from Valve, and with one of the artists from Mirror's Edge who got laid off and that game didn't do well, he remade the game with amazing graphics. They already had an awesome score and narrator, but they came out with this AAA-looking game. It's about an hour and a half maybe if you really stretch it out, and it's pretty wonderful. If I had to, it's an art game, sort of like Stanley Parable. However, it probably didn't upset JJ as much because there sort of is a point. It's got a really strong narrative with a serious storyline that you can really sink your teeth into. The narrative is somewhat randomized, so you get different a different track depending on what, like a random die roll, essentially. So you get a different story every time you play that you can piece together that's not totally literal, so you get to decide sort of in your mind what it means. And to me, that was just so engaging mentally that I loved it.
For me, I think it was the environments. Like, I mean, everything was just absolutely gorgeous. If you've got a high-end PC, it's just spectacular to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the story is cool, but the thing that I like about it is how it changes every single time you play. You can play through it once, and you'll hear, 30, 40 bits of dialogue, but then you play it again, and you'll hear completely different ones. I mean, the same story, but you'll hear different aspects of it. So it encourages you to play more than once and still do that exploration. I just couldn't get over the visuals, to be honest. That was definitely the highlight of it for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, the story could have been complete garbage, and I still would have just been like, pretty, because it was absolutely beautiful. Stanley Parable was just bland. It really was. There wasn't much to look at.
It was very
game.
basic Source Engine stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But that game wasn't about the graphics. So
right.
This one definitely was. So, Brian?
This game was the least of my favorite. I mean, it was good, but it was probably my third favorite game that we played out of the three. I would kind of liken this to kind of like interactive painting. Like if you were to walk through like a really nice painting. I kind of didn't really glean much from the story. I mean, it kind of gives you a little bit, but I mean, honestly, it was like a really like relaxing, serene, like trip through.
That's honestly a really good way to put it.
Yeah,
is the painting,
interactive
That's
painting.
A really good
I think it's
analogy.
funny that it says it's calm and serene, though, because some people I know were terrified to play it.
Oh,
They thought it was a horror game or something.
no, I thought I really.
The opening part kind of is. I mean, you think something's like there's no combat, there's no enemies. You're literally just walking through these environments.
Yep. I felt it very relaxing. I didn't find it very creepy at all. I agree. It was very like calm. You have a slower walking speed than you're used to in games, so you're just kind of like taking it all in.
I will say the opening area, the first part, was a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, when you get to like the cave and you're walking through the cave and you're going under the water and all that stuff, man, that was just amazing.
I think the creepiness comes from the isolation you feel in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a very isolationist game, so people with like fears of being isolated, isolophobias, whatever they're called, then those are the probably people who are isolophobias.
That's a
real
you
medical
heard it here
term.
first, folks.
Dr. Brian is in the house.
Isolophobia.
Isolophobia.
Oh man.
But yeah, I can see how people think it's creepy. It's very, you feel very isolated. You're like, oh, nobody's on this island.
But it's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
I recommend playing it on a high-end rig if you're going to play it.
Definitely, I agree, 100%. As far as cons go, these are kind of like, it just depends on your point of view. Some people might think that since it's very, very short, that's a con, because it is a very short game. I honestly like that, because it wasn't like, you weren't going for some huge, big, giant plot line or trying to defeat some super boss. It was just, like Brian said, it was literally like just walking through a painting. And also, the story isn't really like thrown in your face from start to finish. You really have to think about what the narrator is saying and piece everything together to kind of get the gist of what it is. Like, because it goes back and forth to these little like segments in the
right.
plot, and you have to kind of just think about it in your head. So,
And he'll say certain phrases with metaphors that are kind of nonsensical until you realize that he's using the same metaphors over and over again.
Yep.
And you think, like, why is he using these specific metaphors? And that's where the story emerges, at least for me.
Definitely. Any cons?
I mean, like the Stanley Parable. Yeah, if you understand what the game is, no. I mean, it's not. If you were to say, "Hey, Brian, play this game," and you said it was a game, then yeah, there's tons of cons. There's no combat. There's no element of any kind of challenge. It's like a tour you're taking. But if you go into it thinking like that, then yeah, no cons. I mean, if I was to give it a con, if you were to put my fire to the feet, my feet to the fire, I would say that the story is very kind of convoluted and you can get confused, which I did, because it comes at you in different ways until the very end when it kind of all pieces together. But yeah, that would be it for me.
Okay. Would you recommend it?
I, again, like the Stanley Parable, you have to be into this kind of thing to like it. So if you're somebody who likes metaphors and beautiful scenery and a relaxing walk through a beautiful island, yeah, I recommend it. It's cheap right now. So, but if you're a if your KDR is getting low and you're wanting to push that up, and you want to prestige all over somebody, then yeah,
I agree.
you won't like it.
I think I would say just because A, it's so short, and B, it's cheap. If you've got a good solid PC that'll run it and run it in high res and all that stuff, absolutely check it out just for the visuals alone. You don't even have to worry about the story. It's literally just, I can't get over that analogy. That's perfect. That you're walking through a painting.
It's what it felt like to me.
It's beautiful. It really is. So I definitely recommend it. Absolutely. Mark?
Yep. I will say this was the one I enjoyed the least out of the 3 when we played it this weekend, but for me that's because I've played it so many times already
Right.
Yeah.
that it almost contains nothing new for me that engages me anymore. But if you haven't played it at all and you like that kind of game that kind of is going to explore what games can be, then you should definitely check it out.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, next up on the list, we have Amnesia, The Dark Descent. Developed by Frictional Games and published by Frictional Games.
Developed and published by. Ooh.
Yep, same thing. Brian, you are the one who played it the most recent, so why
Yes.
don't you give a quick synopsis?
Oh, who in here else has played it?
Mark and I have.
Oh wait, you guys played it?
We've
You guys
quote
have played
unquote played it.
Mark,
played it?
Mark, well, you want to tell him who played like 80% of the game?
Shanna.
Bull.
Oh,
you know that's Bull.
JJ.
Yeah.
Oh wait, other people were in the room with you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
heck yeah, they
Stitch
were. We
played a
were
little bit.
terrified.
all right.
I didn't.
He did once, remember?
I don't think so. Did
He
he?
drank like 2 bottles of wine and then he just
Well-
ran straight to the monster.
Well, props to Shanna Banana because it is a scary game.
Yeah.
I hope
That
she
was
likes-
her second time beating
Mark,
it,
I
too.
hope she likes being called Shanna Banana because I just did
she's
it.
used to it.
Okay.
That was her second time beating it, too.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, the Amnesia: The Dark Descent is basically a descent into darkness, as it implies. You basically wake up in a castle. Your name is Daniel. You're looking for one Alexander Brennenberg. He did something bad.
What did he do that was bad?
There were some experiments in other such.
Basically, you're going through the castle,
And you're
like
learning.
trying to recall all these memories and stuff, and you find like
Yeah.
notes that you wrote to yourself and
Yep.
bits
you're-
and pieces here
You're
and
not
there.
alone.
And you're being hunted by a shadow.
And there's something in there with you. Yep.
Yep. Okay, let's go right in. Pros. It definitely did justice to horror games. I'm one that I actually kind of enjoy the constant dread you feel while playing these games. I told these guys that I play these games until I can't anymore. What it means that when I get exhausted from playing, because they keep you on edge like the whole time. I'm like, okay, I'm getting exhausted, and I'll close it off. And length of play kind of gives me an idea of how scary it is. And the first couple sit downs I played, like first time was like an hour and a half. Second time was like 2 hours. I was like, ooh, this game's really exhausting me, which means it was very scary. So its atmosphere and the way it presents its scary moments are actually very well done. I thought the pacing of the game was a very well done for a horror game. You don't have a gun, and there's really no way to defend yourself, so it's a whole lot of running and hiding. So, I mean, that's a pro if you are somebody who doesn't want to just blast everything away.
Yep.
The sound in the game was a definite pro. I mean, in order to have a scary game, there has to be a very excellent sound. The music was very horror game-like, as you would imagine. It felt very polished game too. Like the way you move, open doors with the mouse, the way you turn levers, your inventory system. I thought that was really good. I think that was it for pros. Moving into cons. Oh, you guys have pros and cons?
We have, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
Man,
you had
that's
to-
like a
Oh, wait,
preemptive
I'm sorry.
interruption.
I thought you guys had to play the game. Oh, just kidding.
Oh,
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
My, honestly, I mean, you pretty much said all my pros. It's terrifying. It really is. And that's exactly what it's supposed to be. So if you like that kind of stuff, by all means, check it out. And I really liked the way that they told the story, like just bit by bit.
You start
finding-
piecing it together.
Yeah, you find little notes to yourself and all this stuff, and I thought that it was just very, very cool.
Yeah. One of the things that's really good about this game, and also the other games designed by Frictional Games,
Like
is
Penumbra?
the control scheme. The way when you approach a door, you don't just push E on the keyboard. You actually reach out with the mouse, click to hold, and then pull the door open with your hand.
Right.
Yep.
So the fact that you have to do that, and then you're being chased by monsters,
It's terrifying.
makes you actually physically feel the fear, rather than just being mentally afraid,
Right.
if that makes any sense. it actually washes over you physically. So I'm really excited about any new games they're designing as well. Love it,
Yeah.
but it's too scary.
Excellent. I've just got honestly one con that
Go
I
ahead.
could think of. Honestly, like when I was playing, one of the big reasons why we had we had Mark's girlfriend take over was because there were, I mean, other than being terrified, I had a hard time figuring out where to go.
That's true.
A lot of times.
Yes.
I got lost a lot. And since she had played it before, you know, I mean, we were still sitting there watching and, you know, whatever. But it was just, I didn't like that I couldn't figure out where to go at times. It just said, oh, you need to go to the library. Where's the library?
the
Where
memos,
the heck
yeah.
do I go?
Yeah.
You know, so it's, I mean, it's all, yes, it's all about the exploration, but when you're literally like walking through the same areas like 5-6 times just to find one door that you missed, I don't know. But it wasn't a huge deal. It was just kind of a little annoyance. That's all. So
I've got a few cons. First one is elaborating on what JJ said. I don't use guides for games. I hate using them. I feel like I ruin a little bit of the experience for me when I have to go to a guide. And this game did that to me several times. And for me to, let me explain to you, for me to go to a guide, I have to be stuck for hours. And some of the later puzzles were infuriatingly convoluted. For those of you who have played the game, there's this part where you have to know, first of all, you have to find this obscure piece of meat on a table randomly placed in this game. Then you have to know to take it to a well and lower it down so a creature can eat it and to get its saliva. Where, at what point, it doesn't spell it out for you. You just have to, I'm running around for hours going.
I believe there is a note that does tell you about that.
All it says, I remember specifically, all it says is it tells you how to make this, you're making a serum, a potion.
That's, yeah. It
You're
tells
making
you
a
what
potion,
you need.
and it tells you what you need, but it doesn't
Yeah.
tell you how to get what you need. Like, I knew I needed saliva from the water beast. I'm like, so I go to water areas, and I'm like, throwing the meat everywhere, like, hey, you know, what do I do? So for hours, there were a few other puzzles like that, but yeah, that really made me mad. I did not like that I had to go to the internet and be like, okay, what am I? So I'm like, oh, I have to lower it. I have to tie it to a string and lower it down a well.
Definitely.
So, and my other con is, towards the end of it's a very terrifying game at first when you start playing, but I noticed a pattern, and I hate when I start noticing the patterns in games because it takes me right out of the experience. A lot of the scares and a lot of times the monsters show up, say for a few, it's all scripted. I could almost guess, oh, I'm going to read this, or hey, I'm going to grab this item. Oh, I hear the right after it. It almost got to the point where I was like, okay, run, pick it up, run, pick it up, run. And there were a few instances where the monster was patrolling, especially the water part where the monster was just in the water. Those were some terrifying parts because you weren't expecting it, and you couldn't just get away from the monster. But the scripted elements, like I remember one specifically, I kind of rolled my eyes. I picked up something in a room. You hear, you go hide around the corner for a minute, and he's gone. And it's like, okay.
I haven't played it, but that's something they addressed when they were getting interviewed about the second one. And supposedly they said that they tried to do away with that, where it's like every time you play it, you're going to have different encounters at different times.
Which I'm glad about, because it really, at the end of the game, I mean, I was putting in like 4 or 5 hour swaths of playtime because it wasn't scary anymore. I was like, there was only one other part that was kind of nerve-wracking when they were in that like really dusty corridors. Those are my cons.
Okay.
I was just going to reiterate that, yeah, it is really confusing sometimes. Like, I remember towards the end of the game, after you meet a certain character, Shanna took over for us, and even she couldn't figure it out for quite a while.
Yeah.
Having just beaten the game.
It, yeah.
So some stuff is a little overly confusing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I mean, as far as recommending it, I would say, for me, if you just want to, scare the crap out of yourself, by all means, check it out. Absolutely. It's a... Being able to say that you beat Amnesia is a pretty cool thing, and hopefully one day I'll be able to say that I did it on my own.
Yeah.
It really is terrifying, though. So, Mark?
It's really scary, and if I didn't have someone to help me beat it, I wouldn't have bought it. Luckily, I do, and I loved it.
I do recommend it. It's about 10 hours worth of content, depending on how stuck you get. If you love scary games, and I do, get it. It's one of the best.
Cool. All right, moving on. We are going into Dead Island, and just to kind of keep things short in the interest of time, it's been a long time since I've played this game. I don't remember that much about it. And Brian, I don't think you played it very much either.
I
have
played
you?
like the beginning of it.
Mark, we're just going to go ahead and let you fly solo on this one.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the plot and then your pros and cons?
All right. So the plot for me, my character that I played, was that he was this former rap star who was awesome. He sung one good song ever and then lost all of his fame. He's on this vacation on this island where some stuff's happening, and all of a sudden there's zombies everywhere. So I hear this
I
radio.
hate when that happens.
I know, it sucks.
The old zombies everywhere act.
Always popping out everywhere. So you hear this guy on this radio trying to help you, and you escape the hotel and run down to this little hideout that people have, and you kind of from there just help people out with their needs and try to work towards getting everyone rescued on the island. That's the basic premise.
All right, pros?
Pros, I would describe this game sort of like a mix of Borderlands and Left 4 Dead, which are both games I love. So this game was awesome for me, you know, collecting different items, sort of like an MMO style, fighting zombies. Really brutal game, by the way. Blood, guts, super graphic.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, especially when you're using like the melee weapons.
Not for kids.
No.
But really fun, really satisfying to hit a zombie and watch its head fall off, or knock its rib cage out, or whatever. Well, that's what happens.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. It is fun.
All right, what about cons?
Cons, this is a big one for me. Every single time I played this game, I got a headache because the visuals are so oversaturated and there's such a heavy bloom effect added to the game that it's like having a hangover and walking out into the sun for the first time.
I played the first part with Mark, and I will tell you that the developer took the bloom effect and just went, let's turn it up all the way. Like, it's
Really?
everything has a bloom. Like, everything. A piece
Yeah,
of grass, bloom.
It's really annoying.
Interesting.
So much that I
honestly don't
dreaded
remember that
playing
much.
because I was going to get a headache every time.
Wow.
There are mods out there, though, that supposedly fix it.
Okay. Any other cons?
It's kind of frustrating when your weapons degrade as fast as they do in that game.
Yeah.
Which bothered me. You don't ever feel like you're safe going somewhere because you know you're going to use up half your weapons going there and coming back.
Definitely.
But maybe that's part of the design. It is a survival horror game after all, so that it makes sense.
Recommend it?
If it's on sale, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's just a cool little zombie game.
Yep.
Check it out.
I hear it's better than the second one too. So
There is a second one?
yep.
I didn't know there was.
Riptide, I believe it's
I
called.
thought that was just like an expansion.
Kind of.
No, interesting. All right. Well, there we go. 4 reviews. Booyah.
Boom.
Top 5.
You're welcome, audience.
Are we ready? Yeah, take that. Are we ready for our
I'm
top
ready for
5?
some top 5 action.
Top 5 underrated characters.
Can I put myself on there 5 times? I feel pretty underrated.
Ryan,
What, Mark?
my girlfriend's always laughing the most at your jokes whenever she listens to it. I don't think you're underrated.
I feel underrated. You guys always tell me I'm underrated, and when we argue about something,
Well,
I'm getting double teamed every time.
We don't tell you. We just have
Yeah, it's just
we just have
implied.
an aura of.
Mark, why don't you start us off?
Go ahead.
Oh man! So
I can't believe
my
you're
number 5.
You're ridiculous.
Oh come
You're gonna
on!
get there's
come
gonna be
on!
here's the internet after he says it. The internet's gonna go.
What does that mean? They're gonna come to my aid,
or this sound.
they're gonna rally behind me, or
beep, 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 beep,
Yeah.
beep.
okay. My number 5, most underrated video game character is Dr. Chakwas from Mass Effect. Oh come on! This character. Okay, so
You know what, though?
Brian?
The fact that you and I, Brian, are reacting this way is a testament to Mark saying that she's an
Wait, can
underrated
I-
character.
Before I'm gonna one real quick thing. She's not even she's a crew member, yes. But she's
Okay.
an ancillary character.
you know what, Brian?
That's like saying
You've told me that you like to play these kind of games sort of like a method actor approaches a role.
Okay.
Where you totally immerse yourself in the persona of the character you're trying to play. My character was like a 65-year-old ex military guy who wanted to retire, and the only woman on the ship that interested him
Oh, my God.
in a physical way was Dr. Chakwas. He went out and he got her the ice brandy that she wanted, and they drank it together, And that's all there was.
Okay.
There's no more option. There were no more options like there were with other characters.
All right.
And you say that the game developers didn't intend for her to be a main character? Well, they did put her in all of the games.
True.
And she was one of 2 characters that was identified by name when you go to the finale of 2.
That's true.
That you rescue. So she clearly meant enough.
And you know what, Mark?
To the developers.
Since Mass Effect is one of my most beloved series, I'm going to go ahead and let this slide.
You guys
All
got a
right.
high five over that?
High five.
High five.
There it is. We can't go an episode without
can't-
you guys
we
high
can't.
fiving.
Whew, you got me pretty riled up about that.
Brian,
that one.
Brian, I almost stole your number 5
Ah.
because I think it's a good one.
I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, I know it, but my number 5 is Raiden from Metal Gear Solid series. We all remember the reveal in Metal Gear Solid 2 when you're playing a snake on the boat, and then you get to the oil rig. You get to the oil rig, the big shell, and all of a sudden you are ripped into the now starring role of Raiden. And I know this pissed a lot of Metal Gear Solid fans off, big time. I did not have a big problem with Raiden, other than the voice acting for him was absolutely atrocious. I won't say that the Metal Gear Solid series has stellar voice acting, because it doesn't. It's very campy. But something about his voice really grated on me. But other than that, I thought he was an extremely, extremely interesting character. Child soldier that grew up to become a, cyborg. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, I mean, honestly, if you guys haven't played the Metal Gear Solid games, then I hate you anyway. So,
Do you
Brian-
hate me?
you haven't played the Metal Gear Solid.
I've
You
played the
two.
second one. That's it. I've
Oh, but
beaten
you
2.
played one. So that's that. If you haven't,
okay.
if
All
you
right.
haven't,
and
played,
I just bought the Legacy Collection.
if you literally have never played a Metal Gear Solid game, then I hate you. And I don't want to talk to you. and You're not my friend.
Wow.
What?
Send
You know
all
what,
hate
Brian?
mail to.
Despite all those things you said about people who haven't played it and about my top 5, I respect your decision to put that as your
Okay,
top 5.
thank you. I don't
his
hate you
number
guys.
5.
Just
His number
play-
5. Excuse me.
Play Metal Gear Solid, guys. Play it. I'm looking at you, Brandon.
All right. My number 5. Come on. Luigi from Super Mario Brothers.
Obvious.
An obvious yet brilliant choice, JJ.
I mean, I understand last year was the year of Luigi or whatever.
Yep.
That was a long time coming, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh, yeah.
He is anytime I ever played multiplayer, Luigi was the guy that I always wanted to be. Whether it be a regular Mario Brothers game or Mario Kart, even Smash Brothers, I would pick Luigi over Mario. He was great.
Did you pick him because you are a tall Italian man? And he is also a tall Italian man
No, it's because he likes green.
that likes green.
Yes, all the above, absolutely. I think he tends to get overlooked. And the sad thing is, I haven't played any of his Luigi's Mansion games, and I really want to because I heard they're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's my number 5, Luigi.
Solid.
Mark, number 4.
This is another
You're
one.
such a dork.
Come on!
His number 4 is also another one that's like, what?
Esbern.
Although, again, underrated.
Exactly. Come on.
But-
you know what? Okay. When I do these top 5 lists, I look at cheat sheets. There it is. I'm spoiling
What?
it. I go and see what other people said.
Oh,
my
And
God.
I didn't want to pick the ones that they said
Wait a
because
minute.
it's like a catch-22 with this one. Because if everyone's saying it's the most underrated character, it clearly isn't.
Wait. You get your opinions from other people. This is Mark and the internet. So it should be
You didn't listen.
Mark / the internet.
Because I looked at what the
I
internet
see what you're
said,
saying. Yeah,
and then I
okay.
blazed my own trail.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
That's what I did.
That
And I
makes sense.
picked Esbern from Skyrim. Do you guys remember Esbern?
I do, but
Yes.
You know why Esbern's good? Because when you go and you save Esbern and he joins your party, just so that you can take him to, Riverdale, Riverwood?
It's
That
definitely
city?
not Rivendell.
Whatever it is, just so you can escort him to one city, and then you're done with him
Yeah.
for a while. You don't take him there. You take him on all of your other adventures for 40 hours and make him help you as your second follower, even though you're not supposed to have 2. And it's incredible.
I think Mark is really blurring the line between underrated character and characters who are intentionally not given big parts in the games.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, who talks crap on
Hold
Esbern
on.
and Dr. Chakwas?
Let me tell you about Esbern. This isn't the top 5 most hated characters who don't deserve to be hated.
No, underrated, meaning that
Underrated.
they have big parts of a story, but people may not.
Meaning people don't appreciate who they are.
Right.
They don't appreciate Esbern.
Because he's not supposed to be
But
appreciated.
yeah.
That's offensive to me.
But he is underrated then, I guess, in that case.
right.
That is by definition.
Like I said, he's blurring.
Don't forget that you go down into that jail underneath the Thieves Guild,
What are you talking about?
and you save him, and he tells you all about how the World Eater is coming back to end the world.
JJ, I would like to change one of my top 5 to the crewman that got shot in the first Halo game.
Oh, that's a good one.
Solid
Yeah.
pick.
No one talks about him.
Absolutely. Solid pick.
He doesn't have a name, so I feel like that gives him. I'm just teasing Mark.
Oh, come!
I'll respect Esbern.
Esbern's my favorite.
Okay,
All right, moving on then.
Moving
Oh
on.
my gosh. He's clearly not your favorite because,
he's number 4.
Brian, you and I have the
Yeah.
same number 4.
Let's
And I think he is incredibly underrated.
dude, one of my favorite characters in this game, and actually one of my brother Kyle's favorite characters in this game.
Why don't you let everybody know who our number 4 is?
Our number 4 is from the Final Fantasy X game, Kimarhi Ronso of the Ronso species tribe, whatever.
Absolutely.
What else is there to say? This guy came on the scene in that game with a roar, quite literally. He was kind of Final Fantasy X's version of the Dragoon class, wielding the spear. I loved his storyline too. I don't know about you, but
I did too. Yeah.
where he kind of was kicked out. I mean, the Ronso tribe.
His horn was cut off?
Yeah, they're a primitive tribe, so it was all about survival of the fittest and who's the strongest. And he was a smaller Ronso, but he didn't say much in the game. He was very soft spoken, but he had that one time kind of voice, kind of the very low. But I kind of identified with him. I don't know about you, but
he was always there, and he was always. I really like characters that are loyal. For one,
That's exactly.
And, I mean, he defines loyalty the way he is towards
To a
Yuna.
T.
It's amazing. I mean, as far as like using him in battle goes, he really wasn't that great at the beginning. But once you get him like him far in the sphere grid, and he gets his strength up, and he gets more abilities, I thought he was great. I loved using him. So I think he's very underappreciated for sure. So that's Brian and I's number 4, Kimari Ronzo.
Nice.
Mark, I almost stole this one from you.
You should have. It's a good
wow,
one.
Mark, your
You have to
first
admit.
legit one.
I didn't want my list to be super Final Fantasy heavy though, because I've got 3 on there from Final Fantasy games.
Well, that's fair enough.
Mark's first legit one. Go ahead.
I chose Quina
Yeah.
from Final Fantasy IX.
Come on.
Solid.
And I think we... Let me try doing a
my-
real high five instead of just touching his hand.
Yes.
I like the way your skin feels.
You have soft skin.
When I talk to people about Final Fantasy IX and their characters, their favorite characters, inevitably it's going to be, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Zidane or Vivi or Garnet
I think almost
Right,
everybody
those
says
Steiner,
Vivi.
and nobody ever says Quina.
She's very overlooked. I agree.
Quina is this character that you find in just a random swamp.
And she loves frogs.
She
loves
loves
to
to eat. Actually, this is where I learned, because I was a lot younger when this game came out. This is where I learned the term gourmand,
Yes.
which is a real term. It's an awesome term that I love, and I love this character because there's a good storyline, and Quina is awesome in combat as well.
Yep. I mean, like, I always thought it was cool. I like, I mean, every Final Fantasy game, I think, for the most part, at least the earlier ones, have a character that can use blue magic, which is, enemy skills and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Quina was Final Fantasy IX. And I always have a good time using those characters.
They're
and
fun.
It was
Yeah.
it was kind of annoying, like, having to, the way she got him, he, whatever it is.
Ate the person.
Because you had to, like, weaken him first, and since you couldn't see health, you had to hope for the best and just keep trying over and over again.
Yep.
It was a little annoying, but honestly, I mean, once you did it once, you didn't have to do it again, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I agree with you. I think Quina is very, very underrated.
Yep.
Nice.
So, all right, Mark's number 3, Quina from Final Fantasy IX. Brian, you're number 3. I like it.
This is also a Final Fantasy character. This is from Final Fantasy VIII. Kind of the bad guy / misunderstood guy, Cypher Almasi of Galbadia Garden.
Good old Galbadia.
Just that first scene, when the opening video, when they're in that whatever realm they're in, I couldn't figure out where they were, but they're on that rock and they're battling with their gun blades.
Yep.
And they both get that famous scar across their faces. Kind of I would liken Cypher to the rival in the Pokemon series of Squall. He was kind of like always the opposite of Squall.
Right.
I kind of like, and this is a little bit just a side thing, but I really liked how in 8 you knew it was going to be a much more mature story.
Yes.
Because, I mean, just from that opening scene, Squall gets the gunblade right upside the face, and you just see that spray of blood, along the side of the rock. I mean, when I first saw that, I was like,
You're stunned, yeah.
I've never seen blood in a Final Fantasy game before.
Yep.
So, I mean, I just thought that was cool.
I thought his character development was good. You kind of think he's like because we have to remember this came right on the heels of Final Fantasy VII. So you're like, this is the Sephiroth of this game. Ends up not being that way, and he ends up actually being more misunderstood rather than an actual just evil guy. So.
Towards the end, you feel really sorry for him.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Basically, just like used and tossed away.
Spoilers here, but that whole reveal where they're all orphans, and they show like the flashbacks of Squall and Cypher as kids, and that. Yep. So you're like, he went on a different path than us, kind of.
It's really, I mean, it's just sad because he literally just wants a purpose.
Yep.
And he wants to be needed.
Yep.
And it sucks for him.
Yep.
But so good one.
Yep.
My number 3 is also a Final Fantasy character, Yuffie.
Kisaragi
from Final Fantasy VII.
That's a good one.
I always liked using her. I think she's great. Like in that game, your physical attackers, other than Barret, are always going to be in the front row. And Yuffie had a great physical attack. Her limit breaks were awesome. You could stick her in the back row. She was awesome. I really liked her side story. I loved climbing up the pagoda. I know Mark doesn't really like how she stole.
I don't like
materia.
where she takes me.
But Mutai.
But I love her limit breaks. She can heal with a couple of them, I think, and she was just a good all around character. I really enjoyed her.
And her like Vincent, who is not underrated, everybody loves Vincent. She's one that you may not even never get.
Correct, but in all honesty, I like her limit breaks a lot better than Vincent's.
Well,
because
I'm saying
you can control her for one.
Both Vincent and her, you may not ever even if you play through and you don't use a guide, you may not ever get them.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's my number 3, Yuffie.
Good pick.
Mark, number 2. I like it.
Oh man, my
Another
number 2 is Sergeant Joe from Suikoden 3.
Suikoden.
Brian, what you know about Sergeant Joe?
I don't, but I'm really enjoying the first Suikoden, so I assume that I'll really enjoy the third Suikoden.
Let me tell you what he is. He's not human.
Oh, I don't want him to be human.
He's a duck. I'm not joking.
Love it. I love it. For me, I chose him for the same reason I chose Quina, because he's this character that for a lot of people represents like the center of all the annoying stuff in the game.
Yep.
There's Sergeant Joe, ridiculous name. He's a duck, that's ridiculous. But you know what? He's also kind of like a father figure for all those characters that he's around. He's the most mature. He takes them with him and protects them, and he's good in combat.
He's a huge part of Hugo's story.
Right.
Big time.
I think he's awesome.
I do too. That was another one I almost stole from you because I thought it was great.
Nice.
Brian, number 2.
My number 2 is Letho of Goulet. I think he was on my list for villains as well, if you guys harken back to that episode. You could pick any character really from The Witcher, maybe save for Geralt. This is one of my favorite characters out of any game series. Letho is completely misunderstood. I can't give anything away because of these two haven't playing it, but the opening scene has. I'm sure most of you have seen that.
I played that.
He's on the boat. Have you seen the opening scene of Witcher 2? I'm not going to give anything away. Then it's one of the best openings to any game. And he's on the boat, and there's things go down, and you kind of see his skills, and you're like, oh man, and then you realize I got to track this guy down. And it comes to a scene in the game where you have to choose. He makes his case for his actions to you as Geralt, and it's one of the hardest choices in any game you have to make. You're like, wow, he really sold his side of the story, and his character was just so enigmatic, and I felt so like angry at him at times, and yet at the same time also identified with him. And I don't feel like a lot of people appreciate Letho like he should be. So that's my number 2.
All right. My number 2 is Rico Banderas.
Say his last name like you should.
Banderas.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I knew you were getting at
Rico
that.
Banderas. Yes.
From Xenogears. I don't know why this guy gets so much hate. Like, anytime I look at message boards talking about Xenogears, for some reason people always just bash on Rico. He looks awesome. He is like super strong, and he's slow, I guess, in combat is probably why people don't like it. But I love his story. I love his gear. cool, and it's just a giant freaking machine. And he's just, I just think he's a great character, and I think he's just really underappreciated for who he is, and I wish people would give him more attention. But unfortunately, it's not the case. A lot of people don't like him for one reason or another. So that's my number 2, Rico from Xenogears.
Another game I'm really looking to get into.
Well, let's get into our number 1s. Mark,
Oh, yeah.
start us off.
I really
Okay.
like your number 1, by the way, Mark. I really like it.
My number 1 is the Arbiter from the Halo series. Anybody? Any comments? Any comments? You gonna?
No, honestly,
I don't know enough
this
about-
is probably this
All right.
one is probably the most legit one you've had.
So, Halo 1 happens. You play as the Master Chief the entire time against the Covenant. And then Halo 2 comes out. And all of a sudden, there's 2 storylines. Nobody saw this coming. It's completely out of left field. And all of a sudden, you're playing as an elite who is disgraced by the Covenant. He's forced to become the Arbiter. You go into this deep storyline, and everybody hates it.
I don't know why.
Everybody hates it, and they completely scrap it with Halo 3. He's still there, but you don't get to like have your own separate storyline
Yeah,
with
he's
him.
with Master Chief.
And there's
that's
this
it.
whole redemption storyline that's completely just thrown away.
Yeah,
And I don't think he deserved it. I think they should have gone. They kind of wrap it up, but it's just like clearly they were trying to speed through it and just get it out of the way. And I think he deserved a little better than that.
Yeah. I like this choice, Mark. That was good.
Cool. Brian.
My number 1 is obvious. We've talked about this on ad nauseum, but it's Legion from Mass Effect series. I mean, judging by their reactions when
Is
I
he-
put them... Go ahead.
Is he underrated?
Yes, he's very underrated. You may not even get him in your party if you don't play it correctly. You know, the classic favorites of the Mass Effect series are obviously Garrus.
Dr. Chakwas.
No. Oh my God, no. Like Garrus. There's a huge following for the Grell. Wow, Thane. Everybody likes Ashley or Caden. You know, there's all that talk.
What?
Nobody's really.
Really?
Nah,
I
maybe those are-
almost put Caden or Ashley as one of
yeah,
mine.
they might be, but you know, you have your classics like Garrus, and everybody likes Rex and the big ones, and then there's Legion, who's just so well written. I loved how he, you look confused, and let me explain. He's, for what he is, his turmoil is very machinified. If that
I'm
makes
assuming
sense.
it opens up more in the third game.
Oh, the mission that you have with him in the third game is he kind of gives you a throughout the whole game. Okay, so by now everybody, spoiler alert, Legion's a Geth. And he's trying to tell Commander Shepard that not all Geth are following the Reapers, the heretics, right? And it's his arc in the story is trying to show humanity, or in this case, Shepard, that we're not much different than, you know, we as Geth are not much different than you as humans. And in the third game, he elaborates on that further to the point where you're like, whoa, you almost start to look at the Quarians as the bad guys. You're like, geez, you're like, you know, who do I side with here? I know the Geth were my antagonists throughout most of the game, but God, and Legion does something in the third game that like really personifies him as a breakout star.
Well, then I'll reserve judgment
Yeah.
on all that stuff because I'm still waiting to see how he's heroic too.
You
'cause
got
had him on
and
your list for
that comes
Well,
to light in the third game as well. He does things that you wouldn't think of a machine doing. Their machines are very logic, and he kind of his affinity for you as Shepard is really personified in the third game. But I just feel like an underrated character, you know, for the most part.
I hear
You
you.
guys may not agree with me after the third game, but it just really resonated with me.
Well, we'll see. I mean, so far there hasn't been a single character that I don't like
Right.
in that game. So either way, all right then. My number 1 is from Final Fantasy VI. I haven't had that at the top.
This is the first.
in a while.
This is another. Yeah.
Go-Go. He's a hidden character. You get him in the World of Ruin towards the end of the game. To be honest, he doesn't have much backstory. There's not much to him. There's a lot of rumors going around about who he might be and where he comes from and all that stuff. But putting all that aside, the reason that I have him on my list, especially as number 1, is he gets so much flack for being such a wuss and being useless in the game when I don't understand it, because he is always in my final party when I play it. He's phenomenal. He's a mime. So, you know, he mimics what other people can do. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VI, the way that it works is everybody can get every magic spell in the game. which is cool. But in addition to that, each character has their own secondary ability, whether it be using tools or using blitz attacks, which are like just fighting moves, sword skills, throwing items, that kind of stuff. Every single character has their own secondary ability that is unique to themselves. Go-Go, if you just put him in your party and set him there, all he has is mime or mimic. That's it. So you look at that and you're like, well, that's it. Great. I can just use a move twice. Awesome. A lot of people don't know that if you go into the status screen and you look at his status where it shows level and HP and all that stuff, and you just push right on the controller, you can actually choose his menu and how you want it to set up. And he has every single person's abilities that he can use. You want to put blitz, items, and sword text on him? Do it. You
What
want to
about
put
suplex?
that's a blitz, actually. It is. You want to put magic, dance, and rage on there? Do it. By all means. I mean, he can do everything. The only reason that he's kind of looked down upon, even by people who know that little trick about him, is because his stats are lower than everybody else's. Which, I mean, if you think about it, he can do anything. So, of course, it's going to be lower. Otherwise, the game would be completely broken with him in there.
They got to balance it somehow.
So, but I mean, I love having him in there because he can do anything. And I think simply because of that, he is my number one underrated character.
And he's not a hidden character like Yuffie or Legion. He is a hidden character.
Yes, absolutely. You've got to work to find him.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So, but I always recommend picking him up. So there it is. Our top 5 underrated video game characters.
Woohoo!
All right.
I think I won that one. Raise your hand if I won. Oh, man, look at all the people raising their hands. I got like 7.
Wait, if I won?
No, raise your hand if I won. Brian.
But are we all saying that same sentence?
No, if Brian, won. And I got like 7 hands raised right now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, Steve over there. Thank you.
Look at all these people here to listen to our episode.
Yeah,
That's pretty
we
awesome.
usually have an audience. Like Steve. He's a general.
Good old Steve.
Good boy.
Well, let's move on to emails.
I'm going to win this one too, right, Steve?
We got a handful of emails for the contest. We do have a winner. We'll announce that here in a little bit. The one email though that I did want to read for everybody. We got an email from Terra and Lightning's RPG Roundup. If you, I know I've plugged them a couple of times on the show before. If you haven't gone to check out their show, do it.
I like their show.
Did you finally go and listen to them?
I actually listen to them quite often at work.
Cool.
It was one of the podcasts that you told me about it, and I started listening, and I've just been I'm playing catch up. So
there you go.
I'm like on old episodes.
Honestly, I love doing that. Like when I discover a new podcast, and I'm like, oh great, I have 12 episodes that I get to listen to. It's great.
Yeah, I think I started as far back as I could and just started listening.
So and they just to kind of give you a rundown of their show, they go into games a hell of a lot more in depth than we do. I mean,
they focus on a game.
Correct. They'll pick one game. They'll release episodes as they beat games, but they play multiple games at the same time. They always just go so in depth into all the characters individually, the battles, the musics, everything from start to finish. So definitely highly recommend it if you like RPGs for sure.
Absolutely.
So and there's quite a few games that they've done that I didn't even know about and that I want to pick up now. So
yep.
Anyway, so this came from Lightning on the show, and she was kind of responding to the first part was responding to me saying that about how I got an Xbox 360 and that I was looking to get games. I kind of wanted to ask you guys. She recommended Magna Carta 2 and Last Remnant. We have Last Remnant. We got it on Steam. Have you guys heard anything about Magna Carta 2?
I have not.
I've heard of it, but
I've looked at screenshots and it looks cool. I'm curious about picking it up, so I might do that. But she says here about Final Fantasy 2 because we reviewed that last time.
Yes.
She says, I've never beaten my own characters up to level up, which is bizarre in retrospect. I'm not sure what versions you guys have played. I played the PSX and PSP versions one time each. But for whatever reason, I really, really wanted to go to Mycedia fairly early in the game. Why I started doing this, I can't remember, but I must have had an insane moment and decided I wanted to walk all the way there before it even became a plot point. I think you might need the canoe to cross some land barriers. My memory is fuzzy. She's talking about if you go to, I don't know if you did this. I went super early as well. There's a city, I think it's pronounced Mycedia, but you can get there early on, and if you have enough money, you can buy just tons of equipment. The monsters outside are super tough, and you can level up really fast.
Got ya.
Basically, she's saying she didn't even know about the trick of beating the crap out of your own party. She went through the game apparently twice, maybe more.
Without doing that?
And just let monsters beat the crap out of her. I mean, I don't know if that took her forever or what, because, whoa.
Yeah,
man.
because you can't control, like, what I would do is go to an easy area and
Yeah.
just kill all the enemies but one.
Right.
That's
then
exactly what I
And
do.
then just...
It kind of reminds me of when you play Final Fantasy VII, trying to level up to beat the Hydra monster at the beginning of the game
Yeah.
instead of just going past it.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
and I went really methodically about my leveling up. Like, I figured out that if you beat yourself up to past 50% of your hit points, that would give you a level. If you went past 75% of your 66% roughly of your mana, that would give you a level. So what I would literally do is I would beat myself up, all one of my characters, and then I'd use magic up to all. And so I'd get every time I'd have to wait through, like, you know how at the end of the battle it would be like just individually showing you whatever leveled up. It would take me like 5 minutes every time to be like HP leveled up, HP leveled up, HP leveled up. So yeah, but wow. So that was Lightning that did that?
Yeah.
That must have been an exercise in frustration.
I mean, kudos to you,
Yeah,
girl,
wow.
because, man, yeah, I could not have done it the regular way. If I ever go back and replay it, I guarantee you I'll do the same thing. Just beat I'll say that I'll try to do it the other way,
And then it'll frustrate
but
you. And yeah.
knowing that I can, just hit myself and make it go faster, I would definitely do that. So, thanks for the email, and like I said, definitely to the rest of you guys, absolutely go check out their show, Terra and Lightning's RPG Roundup. With that, we are going to move into our bi-weekly question.
Bring it.
Brian,
Bring it on.
I have a confession.
Okay, confess it.
This whole episode 15 has pretty much been a ruse.
What?
He's not actually recording right now.
Yeah, this isn't about the show right now. This is actually an intervention.
Oh, no.
So Mark and I
I want to keep doing my crack.
have written letters about your gameplay habits.
Okay.
The bi-weekly question last week we posed was, do you feel that playing certain big-name titles on portable systems when there is the option to play them on the big screen cheapens the experience in any way? Meaning, big-name titles on the big screen or handheld. Brian made it a point to play Suikoden on his PSP while watching movies.
Well, they were on in the background.
And
Wasn't really
see what you're
paying
doing to Mark? You see what you're doing to Mark?
Well, go ahead. I'm going to let you guys get all this out, and I'm going to rebut you real good. I'm going to
So,
rebut you real good.
Mark and I have written letters
Okay.
expressing how we feel.
Okay.
I'm going to go first.
Sounds good.
I mean, you
Can I-
understand this isn't an episode right now, right?
If I start
Yeah,
crying,
this is
Brandon and Steve aren't here just to
yeah. Well, and then
listen
the other
to us
the
record
other,
an
like, 8
episode. That
people,
would
like
be
Johnny
they're here
and,
coming from a place of love, Brian.
and then there's Khalifi. He's here.
they're here for you.
We're here for you.
Okay.
And your problem that you have.
Okay, whatever. I don't think I have a problem, man. I'll stop when I'm ready, man.
Do you realize you're hurting us right now? You don't even understand. You don't even understand.
I don't understand your logic.
He's not just hurting us; he's hurting himself.
And that's what hurts us.
I don't understand your guys' logic.
We don't want you to do this to yourself. So I'll go first.
Okay.
I've written this letter. This is serious.
I love you, man.
This is serious.
I'm being serious. I've got tears.
Brian,
Yeah.
I know that things have been tense for you lately, but I just had to convey my feelings on a matter that means a great deal to me, but seems to affect you so little, and even gone completely unnoticed at times. This perversion of what should be a unique and incredible gaming experience has been twisted and cheapened by you so much that I don't even feel that I know you as a gamer anymore. Playing a game like Final Fantasy VII, Lost Odyssey, or even your beloved Mass Effect should never be condensed to the size of a 3x5 note card. Not for a first-time playthrough, and not ever. Should you not give the same consideration and respect to Suikoden, a game that Mark and I hold in such high regard? It is your right, nay, your responsibility, to take this amazing franchise and make sure it gets the love and care that it so rightfully deserves. Your defense on the matter is what hurts the most. Not only do you mock the fact that Mark and I refuse to lessen our experience by not playing the game on a larger screen, but you use that larger screen at the same time as your smaller one. And for what? So you can watch movies like Back to the Future and Stripes? I ask you, Brian, when did Marty McFly gather the 108 stars of destiny in order to not only free the land from a tyrannical ruler, but also protect the 27 true runes from falling into the hands of an evil witch? Was it in between playing Johnny Be Good and making out with his own mother? And yet you give Mr. McFly the satisfaction of a bigger screen and more living space. It seems as though Marty and Stripes have found a way into your home, while Gremio, Victor, Flick, Cleo, and the other stars of destiny have only earned the same respect that you give to a small cup of coffee, both which you simply hold in the palm of your hand. Take it from me. Being able to play a masterpiece like Suikoden on a larger screen is comparable to drinking hot cocoa with marshmallows, of course, in front of a fireplace whilst wrapped in a soft blanket on a cold winter's eve. What have you got against hot cocoa and blankets, Brian? In conclusion, I hope that what I've said here has made somewhat of an impact that appears to be an empty vessel that you call a heart. If, however, you still feel the need to degrade a series that I have loved for years, I ask that you forget me and my personal feelings and think of the children. I ask this not only for their sake, but for the sake of all others who may be out there listening to my words, echoing through the waves of the internet, not knowing whether or not they should chance playing Suikoden in a way that is, quite simply, abominable. I thank you for listening, and pray that one day you see the light. And again, I remind you, think of the children. Keep on gaming.
Should I read mine now?
Go ahead. I'm
ahead, Mark.
going to rip you guys apart after
All right.
this.
I'm going to read my letter, which was definitely not plagiarized in any way. Dear Brian, I know you love video games very much, and you are very supportive of the medium. I wouldn't be where I am or have what I have if it weren't for video games. You taught me that BioWare is capable of writing deep and nuanced stories that deserve my full mental attention. You encouraged me and supported me during my Mass Effect 2 playthrough.
Where's the
This
emotion?
gave me the confidence I need to save all of my friends during the finale, allowing me to approach the third game with strength. When I played through the Star Ocean 2 till the end of time, and you were the one... You were the one whose shoulder I cried on. You were the one I trusted. You helped me get through it. Brian, your PSP and PS Vita fandom has been a part of our lives for a very long time. We didn't get here overnight. It is running your life. When I call home to check in, if it is too late in the evening, you're in bed playing portable games. You get on the phone and you are distracted. When we talk later in the week, you don't even remember our conversations. Sometimes you're passed out with the game still running. When I come to visit you, I'm on my way out to set up the mixers and mics. If you're on your PSP, I'll try to wait a little while because I don't want to catch you casually ignoring the plot. I do this to save you embarrassment. I try to tease you on Facebook so you won't brazenly play whilst watching football. I see it in your eyes, hear it in your speech, and watch you look back and forth from the television to the handheld with an occasional trip to the restroom if you've had too many Red Bulls. I like you, and I don't like seeing your PSP suck the life out of games like Suikoden. We're all here together because we want to accept your help. We want you to accept our help, excuse me. We're here to help. Will you accept our help today?
Thank you, Robot Mark. I appreciate that. That was a very robotic way.
He did say he was going to read it the same way as when we did the debates.
Thank you, Robot Mark. First of all, I appreciate the intervention, but what are you guys getting at? What am I missing from the game by playing it on a handheld? Before you respond, is there less content? Is the game not in its 100% form? What am I missing?
It's honestly not so much that you play it on a handheld, because I completely understand. I told Mark earlier today, I was like, if there's a heavy grinding place in a game, I would love to play it on a handheld while watching something, and just get that out of the way. That way I don't have to sit there and mindlessly do it. But when you got a great plot point coming up, and you're playing without the headphones, so you don't hear the music, and you've got Marty McFly making out with his own mother on the TV, and you're paying half attention to each one, and I know you have your percentages and all that stuff, I'm like, well, I was only doing 75% on the TV, and whatever you said. I don't know. Frankly, it hurts.
You know what hurts me? You know what isn't a theme song in Suikoden? Well,
yeah,
I would like to point out
that too.
I would like to point out that while I did not have my headphones on, you can't just chit me when I'm in the middle of a point.
Because you're not taking the intervention seriously.
No, I am. I'm trying to point out that you guys are way off base with this discussion.
You're hurting Brandon.
Now, if I was to play Mass Effect, so you used Mass Effect as a barometer, and it was not, and I had to. The graphics were very reduced. There was frame rate issues. The combat was lessened. Then yes, I would say, okay, you're cheapening the experience because you don't get the full breadth of the content. My PSP is plenty powerful enough to handle the breadth of Suikoden.
Sorry, can you say that all again? I was watching a YouTube video.
And you guys are now trying to assume that I am not paying attention to Suikoden. However, I can very clearly state the plot, which I very much am into. However, it is nice that when I am grinding, or when I am in places where it's just run, combat, I can look up and see another form of entertainment and not bore myself to death with some of the things that JRPGs do bore the living crap out of me.
Suikoden?
I mean, this is literally what I do for combat right now. I unite 2 characters, and I just hit XXXX. That's it. I mean, it's honestly, I love the game, I love the plot point, but playing on a handheld, I'm getting just as much of an experience out of it as anybody else. The size of the screen does not matter. The motion of the screen's ocean is the one that matters.
But it's like drinking cocoa wrapped in a warm blanket on a cold winter's day.
You know, honestly, when you talk like
that.
this, it makes me feel like you're Pawn.
What are
you're
you
Pawn from Suikoden. You went and you told everyone that Ted was hanging out with us.
You need to articulate what I am missing from the game, that you keep telling me I'm missing something, or there's something I'm not getting when I play on a handheld. When I say, alas, I do not miss anything. What about the game is cheapened because I'm playing on a small handheld?
When you watch Back to the Future.
But I'm not paying attention to Back to the Future.
Do you think that...
yeah, but you made it a point to show us
because
that you were...
It's like when you tell me
that.
I'm ticklish, or I'm not ticklish, or I'm ticklish.
We tell Brian all the time that he's ticklish.
Or not ticklish, or is ticklish.
Yeah, but, I mean... The point I'm trying to make is while I appreciate the intervention, I feel like you guys... I'm going to put this in an analogy. They tried to intervene me for drinking milk instead of water. Both very viable, both very tasty, both very essential to life, but yet one of them's bad? Why? Why, I tell you.
Well, if you have too much milk, the lactose will cause you to vomit it back up.
And if you drink too much water, you could die.
Damn you, Brown!
I'm not even going to jump in on that one.
But my whole thing is play the game how you want to play it. And if somebody like Mark yells at you for playing it whilst watching a movie, then take lots of screenshots with it and rub it in.
In all honesty, Brian is absolutely 100% right. I'm sorry, Mark, but he is.
Oh,
what?
I know.
Will you be saying that when he plays Final Fantasy VI this way?
Which I will be playing Final Fantasy VI on a handheld. I will, on my Vita.
See?
But
No, hold on. I was just going to say, because you told us at some points that you took your headphones out.
I did.
Don't do that with 6. Oh my gosh.
I only took my headphones out when I was in the same area. I'd already heard the music over and over again. I don't need to hear it,
Yes, you do.
1,000 times.
Yes, you do.
That's how the designers intended
the
game designers intended you to hear that song.
Do you understand where we're coming from, though?
I get your points, but I'm not. I mean, yes, I'm not hearing the song for the 100th time. Like
years ago, we started with this. I mean, back before it was even available on handhelds. So we literally got to devote our full 100% attention to the big TV screen and play this game on it.
Right.
You're not doing that. And that's, I mean, I completely understand you're getting it and you're getting the full enjoyment and all that stuff. But just because it I think us looking at it,
we're
if we were to have played it like that, it wouldn't feel the same to us, especially on a first time play.
We're kind of like old fogies who complain about how we had to walk uphill both ways to school.
Pretty much.
And how kids these days have it too easy.
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with you guys in that point. However, it is, if we were playing it, okay, so if we went back in time, that would be a viable point because those games were cutting edge at the time, right? They were the Mass Effect / whatever new game at the time. I can't play these old games. Blame it on how games are nowadays, where they're more action packed and there's a lot of pretty colors and all this. It's hard for me to play old JRPGs, sit down and keep my attention span on that game because honestly, there's a lot of those games get extremely boring to me during the grindy parts. I'm just like, so playing it on a handheld helps me get through those parts because I'm like, oh, I'm in a grindy part, cool. I can watch The Sopranos while I grind. I can watch Stripes while I grind. I can watch The Office while I grind. I can watch Scrubs while I grind.
Do you think Zach Braff wants you to be dividing your attention between him and Suikoden?
I'm only dividing my attention on the parts that are of no consequence to anything other than I need to level my character up or I need to get from point A to point B. If there's plot and there's talking going on, my attention is 100% focused on the reading of the words on the screen.
If I'm being real, I totally understand what you're saying.
But don't
But
be
it's
real.
so much more fun to just pick on you
I
and
understand.
tell you you're wrong
Absolutely.
all the time.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to write these letters.
I know. They were hilarious. They were hilarious. JJ's was funny because it was well written and made me laugh. Mark's was funny because Robot Mark showed up.
He said he was going to do that,
Yeah.
too. I didn't think he was going to go to that
That was
extreme, though.
hilarious.
That was great.
I like the letters, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and not go to rehab for this and continue with my druggy ways.
Let's see. Dave commented a couple of times. We all had a big conversation on the website. He pretty much just agrees with you. I don't think he knew that you were watching TV at the same time, though.
Well, no, I mean,
But I to be honest with you, as far as Final Fantasy VI goes, it honestly now it plays great on a freaking handheld.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, I haven't played it on a big screen in a while, and I usually play it at least like twice a year. And I've been busting it out on my PSP the last couple of times. It's
I find it
especially,
enjoyable.
Like, I'm going on my cruise again.
And that's a perfect time.
I went on my Geek Cruise last year, and I played Final Fantasy VI on my PS3 or PSP while I was out there, and I loved it. It was awesome. So, yeah.
It's a way, Mark, to take your beloved games like Suikoden to places you would normally not be able to play them.
It's just coming from a place of
Nostalgia.
This is how we grew up on it. Don't change things, kind of one of those.
Sure.
Yep.
So honestly, it's just the movies in the background that bugs me.
It was so funny. Every night I would be watching something different, and I would send them a screenshot of me playing Suikoden with the whatever I'm watching in the background, and then the butt hurt would begin.
All right. Let's see. Next episode, we're going to be talking about bi-weekly question is: do you replay RPGs? If so, what is it that makes you come back to them? If not, why? So that's that.
Man.
Last but certainly not least, we had our contest, and all we did was ask people to send in an email. We got a handful of entries. The one we decided on though was from Mr. Isaac Barnett. Congratulations, man!
Yay, Isaac.
I'm going to go ahead and I'll read his here. He actually his was part contest entry and also a response to. He had sent us an email. I think it was the previous episode about he had just finished one of the Final Fantasy games and he was wanting to start a different one. So he was asking. He hasn't played 6, which is still unbelievable. But he did tell me because we talked for a little while. And he told me it's because he's waiting for a physical copy of the anthology, which I completely understand. I love having the physical copy of games. Once you get that, man, though, definitely check it out because it's amazing. So he beat 7, he says, and he's pretty much done everything it looks like except for Ruby and Emerald Weapon. Hasn't decided whether he's going to do that yet. He gave us a couple of ideas for top 5s, and I'm not going to read the whole email because it's kind of long, but basically, and he complimented us on our sound. So,
thank you.
And that's honestly that's all Mark, man. He is the sound guy.
Yeah, and my vocal cords.
That's true.
Yes, absolutely.
And vibrations in the air.
So
Science.
That's fair enough. It is the vibrations in the air.
So Isaac, Mark will get in touch with you as soon as within the next day or two, and congratulations again.
Yeah,
You'll be getting your
congrats,
copy of Xenoclash 1 and 2.
Yes.
Let us know how it is too.
Yeah,
So because I'm
absolutely.
curious.
I got a copy for myself as well.
Yeah,
so.
but you don't play games, so
I played 3 games last weekend.
He did. Oh my
you did. You played last weekend 3 games. That's right. Forgot about that.
Man.
Only because you were forced to with us.
True.
And thank you to everybody else who sent in suggestions. I will say, because we got a whole bunch of emails with literally the same top 5 suggestion. People really want to do this one, so I went ahead and I pulled rank, and I decided the next episode
what are we
we're going to
doing?
do it. Our top 5 list for the next episode is...
Drum roll, please.
Say it exactly how I have it written here.
That probably sounds terrible, so I'll stop.
In episode 16, our top 5 list will be our top 5 plot twists that we didn't see coming.
Oh man!
Get ready for spoilers.
Get ready for
be-
we'll call it a spoil
Chances
cast.
are we're not going to be talking about the actual spoilers, though.
Well, you have to talk about the twist.
We just have to talk about the games.
No, you got.
And then we say, you got to check this one out because it's got a great twist.
I don't know.
we
In a way, I feel like saying a game has a twist already spoils it to an extent.
just know that next episode
Like
might
when
be
he told you
spoiler-heavy.
all about Stanley Parable.
That wasn't a spoiler or a twist, though.
It was a lie,
It was a
bold-faced lie.
Yeah. That's like saying, hey, Mark, keep playing Suikoden until you get to the part with the flying cars and the giant gorilla.
Although you could say the flying cars are the dragon and the gorilla is the
See, you clearly aren't grasping the game because you're watching movies during
Yep,
it. There's no
exactly.
flying cars. There are in Back to the Future 2, which is where
I
you
said
got
the
confused.
cars remind me of the dragons.
All right, I think that about does it for episode 15.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again for your entries. We really appreciate it. Email us at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/thefrozennorth. Actually, we've been getting quite a few likes on Facebook.
Yeah, keep
so-
it up, guys. Keep telling your friends. If you have gamer friends that might enjoy this podcast, we just like to entertain.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're up
Make sure to belligerently tell them to listen.
Yeah, go. Hey guys, there's a podcast. It's real good, and it's got.
Is that what you think belligerent means?
Yeah. Tell them.
Hit us up on Twitter at FN Podcast. Check out our blog at frozennorthpodcast.blogspot.com. And I know we didn't do any spotlights this week, but the game that we did last time,
Long Night.
right. did hit its
uh,
goal, right?
It got past its goal, and it's still got 4 days to go.
Hey,
so
all
hopefully
right.
some stretch goals can be met.
Great.
That was all us, right?
Sounds good. Subscribe to us and rate us on iTunes. Please leave us reviews on there and let us know what you think. What you
Yep.
like, what you don't like. Tell Brian why he shouldn't be watching Stripes while playing
Come at me, bro. I'll prestige you real good, KDR.
Oh, my goodness. All right, you guys got anything else?
I'm good.
I just want to add that I love video games. Love them. They're just
If you
awesome.
watched Antique Roadshow while you were playing, you probably wouldn't be distracted.
the gabagoo.
So I'd approve that. You can just fade it out while it's saying that.
That's a good call. All right. Thanks for listening. Keep on gaming.
This song was made available via the Creative Commons Attribution License. The song, Somewhere in the Stars, was written and produced by SoundCloud user _TWC.